I
Bandits
think
is the what?
they're the OKC of the CEBL, the Canadian Elite Basketball League, and it's showing their sense. Kamusta mga Insans? Welcome back to another episode of Insans Out of Basketball, a Filipino podcast for your NBA Vancouver hoops discussion with your Insans Intan.
And Jello. Welcome back, mga Insan. Today we'll be talking about a lot of Vancouver stuff here today. We'll be talking about our two events happening here with our Vancouver Bandits. We have the girls and women in sports. And also we'll be talking about the Filipino Heritage Night. So these are the theme nights. Another thing too that's happening here in Vancouver, 2 months from now, we will have our first WNBA game here. This is an actual game that will be part of the record. And last but not the least is our current situation of the NBA Finals with Pacers and Thunder. But
Sir.
before we dig deep into our topics, our segments for today, don't forget to subscribe, to like, to comment, right? Please be part of this journey with us. And again, thank you so much for those who's been with us ever since the beginning. Again, a huge shout out to another instant that we have on the background here. She's been editing our videos, so huge shout out to her. And again, thank you all for all our people that have been supporting so far. Again, just stay and watch. We've been noticing that people are not really watching at the end. We do put a lot of work into this, so we do appreciate all those support, guys. So yeah, Intan, let's start first with our Vancouver Bandits here. We have two theme nights that we want to focus on. Again, Vancouver Bandits, they have a bunch of theme nights, so different things that's happening depending on the game. But two things we want to focus on today is the girls and women in sports nights in Vancouver Bandits. Tell us about a little bit of it then.
So yeah, in on Saturday, this coming Saturday on June 14 at 7 p.m., there is gonna be a game between the Bandits
And the Alliance.
and there is a themed event called the Girls and Women in Sports Night, and Goose is gonna be there.
I will be there. And I just want to shout out, give a little bit more details on what's happening that day. So again, we're not affiliated there yet with the Bandits. We're hoping that we will be, giving
Yes,
a little hint
sir.
on them. But I just want to give a huge shout out to Girls We Adore community. I will put a link on their Instagram here on the description. So what's happening that day, Saturday, June 14th. So 2:30, there's a girl camp. 3 o'clock, there is area or a booth for Girls We Adore. So the community that is linked with Vancouver Bandits. And then 5:30, there's actually a panel for women in sports. And then last but not the least is the actual game at 7 o'clock with Bandits and Alliance. And again, we're trying to support Vancouver here. We're trying to support NBA coming here in Vancouver again. So this will be a huge thing if this is this day will be a successful. And a little hint, actually a WNBA, right? With our next segment here, will be they've seen the growth, right? Done. But
Yes.
before we dig deep into the WNBA stuff here, we just want to have a few shout out to a little bit a few women in sports that have been thriving, right? Not just in basketball but in other sports too. So give us a little bit of a rundown on who those women are.
So yeah, since the event happening on Saturday is about girls and women in sports, I think it's important for us to highlight these very accomplished women in the sports world today. That is Coco Gauff. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, but she just won her first ever French Open single title by defeating world number one Ariana Sabalenka. So she's just 21 years old, and she became the first American woman to win Roland Garros since Serena Williams, which is insane. And then you
2015 too, yeah.
have Kayla Harrison. She just became the UFC Women's Bantamweight Champion. And you got Texas Longhorns softball team, and they claimed their first NCAA Women's College World Series title.
Again, so what we do here in the pod is we're also researching. We're also trying to learn with you guys. So if you, for those who don't know, like we're doing this podcast, so we're basically getting forced to learn all of this stuff that's happening in the sports and basketball, and that way we get to enjoy all this stuff with you guys. So again, we're sorry if we're butchering some names, or again, we're researching this as we go. But in terms of women's in sport, like there are a lot of impact, a lot of importance on why all of this. Again, you shout out to the Texas Longhorn, to Kayla Harrison, to Coco Gauff. Like the main thing here, and again, we had a few things that we point out the importance of women in sports. I think one of the main things that we have here, and going back to our roots, which is for Filipino, is that cultural shift and the overall global impact of having women in sports done. So, Intan, you had I guess like a story per se on why do you think there's a global impact in having women in sports?
Yeah, because like you said, we're both Filipinos, and especially in our culture, there's a lot of things that, people say that women cannot do and can do. And one of these are sports. One of these is sports. And usually women do not participate in sports, especially in our country, the Philippines. And so seeing these women, seeing their accomplishments, make them believe that, it's possible that I can do that too, not just men. And this gives them just some empowerment, some confidence, some representation, and yeah, just gives them an overall belief that they shouldn't just deal with the norms like it's always been, that we can change and can be whatever we want to be.
Exactly. And again, there's a lot of role models here, and we highly recommend you guys follow these people too in terms of women in sports. And there's a lot of them that very aspiring to see that they're thriving in their own sports. It's very exciting that we're seeing a lot of women thriving in the sports of basketball too. And that's why we're excited to talk about this WNBA stuff here on the next segment. Another thing though that's happening with the Vancouver Bandits in Tan is the Filipino Heritage Night, right?
Let's go.
And that's happening in 2 weeks from now, I believe.
Yes, it's on June 28th. Another Saturday game at 7 p.m. I believe it's
Mm-hmm.
against the Saskatchewan Rattlers. So it's basically just an event to celebrate our Filipino culture. It's very nice that our we have our representation in the basketball game here in Vancouver. So basically, there's last year, going back to last year, there was a pre-game vendor and food market that was free. By the way, you don't need the game ticket to
Mm-hmm.
enjoy those pre-game festivities. And then you have in-game performances like the Nikling last year, which is insane to see. There is also a Filipino heritage T-shirt that you can get, and it's like a the Vancouver Bandits logo with our sun from our Filipino flag, and there is a pre-game buffet, which I know Filipino likes food. Filipino likes to eat, so I'm sure we'll enjoy that. From last year, there was pandesal, mixed greens, pancit canton, lumpiang Shanghai. Oh my God, steamed rice, of course. Steamed seasonal vegetables, chop suey, chicken and asal,
Oh, we
lechon
could
pork
go on.
belly. Oh,
We could go on. We
assorted
could go
dessert and
on.
sliced fruits and halo halo station.
Yeah,
So
there's a
that's
lot
fun.
of stuff. There's a lot of stuff. So if you're Filipino, this is an exciting stuff for you. And again, if you haven't heard of Vancouver Bandits, this is why we're here, right? We want to support them, especially if you're Filipino and you don't really know like who to support. You're just following the NBA. Follow and support our Vancouver Bandits here. Again, we'll link where you can buy it, the tickets, all that kind of stuff. Again, we're not affiliated. We're just trying to show support to our Vancouver Bandits here. And might I say, Tan, again, we had another video saying that
Mm.
Vancouver Bandits is doing really well. And Intan, what did you say there? That
I think I
Bandits
think
is the what?
they're the OKC of the CEBL, the Canadian Elite Basketball League, and it's showing. They're 7-1 right now.
They're 7-1.
Every game is double digit lead, maybe more than 20 points. So
Yeah.
it's a fun team to watch if you love basketball. Just in general, there is also T-Jazz, so
Yep. And I
especially yeah.
just want to say that one loss they had was an away game, and I believe it was like a back to
Mm.
back. So we can like discard
It
that.
happens, you know.
Yeah, it happens. And then the next game with the women in sports, that game is also going to be exciting because they're up against a team that's 4-0 who hasn't lost yet. So
Mm.
this is all these games is fun and exciting. And again, if you want to have that atmosphere that you're in an NBA game, watch, like, join us in the home games that we have here with Vancouver Bandits. Again, thank you so much for Vancouver Bandits. They're doing a lot of great stuff. So follow them, support them. Anything else that you wanna share with the
Yeah,
Vancouver
just
Bandits here, then?
yeah, if you're, you know, especially if you're Filipino or just love basketball in general, please go watch the games. It's very reasonably priced. I believe you can get
Mhm.
like $40 for a ticket, and the game is amazing. The venue is amazing. There's lots of parking. Everything is nice. So go watch and see, especially on the Filipino Heritage Night, hopefully, and the Girls and Women Night. So hopefully you guys will be there to support.
Thank you. Thank you, mga insan, for
Sure.
listening to this segment.